Hello and welcome to this BB Education cutting tutorial. Today's tutorial is focusing on a commercial salon friendly shape by utilising strong undercutting and visual disconnection. With the mapping process, we've taken two 4 diagonal sections working from a delta point at the top of the crown. These work into our recession, and then from the point we take a vertical section down, isolating the underneath sections into two, left and right. We then take from the recession areas, travelling on a diagonal back, we take the curved section just past the mastodoid process or the corner of the hairline. We're going to be disconnecting these sections from the underneath and from the top. We start with a diagonal back section, keeping our diagonal roughly halfway the distance between the vertical and the horizontal section. Working triangular means the hair will be getting shorter towards the nape, but we've controlled the speed in which we do this with our finger angle. So we don't want the increase of length or weight to be too rapid. So we only have a very slight angle on our fingers. So remember, we control the rate in which the length is travelling vertical. We control this primarily not with our elevation, but actually it's with our finger angle, with our distribution. So we've covered the vertical shape, but as we take section 2, let's look at the horizontal. The horizontal shape is the shape travelling side to side. We're going to control this with over direction. If I over direct towards the face to find a guideline, let's say, it's going to be too long. Whereas if I over direct it back towards the nape, let's say, we're going to end up getting too short. So if we want this to be round horizontally, what we have to do is to take section 1 as our guideline and section 2, and they need to meet in the middle distance between both the bases. If we over direct section 2 onto 1, it'll be too long. If we over direct 1 onto 2, 2 will be too short. So we work to over direct them to be in the middle distance between both sections. To really assess this correctly, your body position should be square from the section. This means that you have a very clear assessment of the roots and where the hair is going to travel in regards to the side-to-side movements. As we take section 3 will meet section 2 in the middle distance of both the bases. So the base of section 2 and the base of section 3, the middle distance between this is where they're going to meet. But I also want you to notice one other thing, and that's to do with over direction of our sections. As we travel down the head, you'll notice the sections aren't being pulled to a flat line, but all the sections are being pulled flat out from the head to ensure that the weight is travelling around the head shape and not just travelling vertical or horizontal. You see here the section is not being pulled to meet a cut line from the first part of the section, but it's almost cut in a curved line flowing around the head shape, ensuring that the weight is travelling as well as the decrease in length is travelling towards the centre nape. As we take our next section, we continue in the same subsequent manner. As our sections become wider, you'll notice that we are beginning to lower the sections onto a previous section. This is because as we work towards the back of the head, our sections to cover more of an area are actually travelling closer to the horizontal than the hair at the sides. As we work up, it's important to leave out a small triangular section. We're going to do a crossover graduation technique involving the other side. This will ensure we have perfect symmetry around the curvature of the head and the crown. But again, as we take our section, you'll see it has been lowered onto the previous section. Whereas the sides, if you remember, we were actually meeting the middle distance between both sections. This is due to the fact that our sections have changed from being close to the vertical to close to the horizontal. As we start the other side, we're going to start in exactly the same way. We're going to take a small diagonal back section and begin cutting a vertically triangular shape. Once we have established our balance, we'll continue working in the same manner we did the previous side, often stopping and cross-checking and assessing our balance. You'll see none of our sections have been over directed as we're working back, so we maintain everything the same, the body position, everything we're doing we mirror from the other side to ensure consistency and to ensure that we have our balance. Maintain an even dampness throughout as we're working. Ensure you can let the hair natural dry that we've already cut, but the hair that is yet to be cut, we need to maintain an even level of dampness to ensure consistency in our tension and our mechanics. Maintain a square body position to your sections, which allows you to assess your over direction more. The over direction, which is moving the hair side to side, is our main mechanic we're using to control the shape travelling side to side. Be mindful of your elevation, as if the elevation is pulled too low, you'll notice we're rapidly increasing the weight, and this may present you a weight line. If this happens, just cross-check your work, which is checking the work in the opposite way, and re-elevate and take off a small amount more. Now, we start back at the other side and we take our diagonal back section working closer to the horizontal, which allows it to run straight across both zones. Our section is then pulled and we find a guideline from the previously cut section and we lower to this section, enabling an increase in length, still travelling around the crown. We complete this section as it runs across the head, enabling us to get a guideline from the other previously cut side. This is helping us to build perfect symmetry around the curvature of the head. As our sections are crossing over into the other side, we go from the left to the right to the right to the left. This crossover graduation is ideal for building a graduated shape that hooks to the head shape and helps form balance and symmetry around the curvature of the head. We now start the opposite side, taking our section, the diagonal is close to the horizontal, allowing us to work directly from each side. This allows us to have a guideline on the other side as well, which really helps us to maintain the consistency. As we finish our sections, we'll visually assess our work as well as cross-checking and checking for balance. As we visually assess our work, we can see that the shape has created a flatness working below the round of the head. It's maintained weight travelling to the occipital bone from the temporal bone, but it helps behind the ear and on the silhouette to have a smoother, flatter shape. As we release our braided sections, we start to visually assess the disconnection and understand the amount that initially needs to come off to start our connecting process. Remember, visual disconnection is still a utilised concept within our commercialised cutting. Here we would use it to help control a hairline, to help make the haircut look more flattering to a neck shape. To do this, we're going to use a feathered razor. This helps us to have a more sculpted and designed feel to our outline. We start to choose a suitable line by taking the centre nape length and connecting in our razored line. We visually assess the suitability of this line. Then we start to surface cut with our razor. Taking the top layer off the cuticle will help to give a more tapered and softer feel to the external shape. This will help to match the centre of the nape. Then we're going to wear the hair behind the ears. This is to help assess the silhouette and to help assess the hair when worn behind the ear. Remove any excess length and surface cut to ensure we have a suitable outline to our haircut. We can't truly connect this in when the hair is wet, as visual disconnection is exactly that. We need to get the hair dry and visually connect the haircut. What we do at this point is to remove the excess and start to put a toe in the water we start to put a rough inclination towards connecting this in visually. To do this, you see, we use a razor, which provides us more softness, provides us more of a sculpting feel to what we're doing. As you can see, we tuck the hair behind the ears, remove any excess, and we continue to surface cut to ensure our external shape has a tapered, natural quality which will add to the texture of the haircut. So here we have the undercut complete. Now we need to dry the haircut, and then we need to visually assess what steps need to be taken in regards to connecting in the visual aspect of our disconnection. We're going to wrap dry the hair today using a 9-row vest brush. The wrap dry allows us to, if you like, wrap the hair around the contours of the head, working from left to right, from down to up, and ensuring that we bend the hair and stretch it around the head shape. This helps to get rid of any root pattern and let the hair sit smooth and natural, allowing us to, whatever we do next, the haircut is in a more natural state, allowing the haircut to be cut more to the natural form. As we're drying, we'll now swap to a small bristle brush just to help us get a little more bend and smoothness on the edges of the cuticle. A small no mark clip is placed to hold the hair in position as we haven't used any product. Now the hair is dry, we can start to really assess the final levels of our disconnection, as texturizing is really a method that we use when the hair is dry, as we can really assess the effects we're getting from the texturizing when the hair is dry. So now we need to check the texture that is in the center nape, and we need to bleed that through into what we've already cut. Right now you can see that the internal shape is sitting nice and neat, that's great, but we can quite clearly see the disconnection, and it can be distorted and look a little bit ugly. So it's clear there's more work to be done. So let's look at how would you connect this in on the salon floor. Well, the first thing we do is we work vertical, as vertical will lend itself more to removing weight. We take a guideline from the undercut and we begin a slicing motion. We work with a scooping technique to almost carve out a short to long cut line to help to blend in our disconnection. This is a very visual process, and using slicing really enables us to get the ball rolling. We then use a slicing technique where we constantly and rapidly move our scissors, sliding the hair, our fingers up the hair, lessening the effect each time. And you can start to see straight away the effects this has. Try not to let disconnection scare you. Disconnection allows us to amplify our creativity within haircuts through a medium of being innovative. This means we have a pragmatic view on how we invent and create new haircuts. It may be a problem the client's giving us, it may be an issue with the client's hair, it may be something we haven't encountered, but working with disconnection can often help us to be more innovative in our approach to solving issues for a client. Often I don't think this is creative, I do believe this is more innovative. You start to see the hair looking more connected. We're doing a little bit of surface cutting here just to cut the areas that have the most weight, to soften and flatten the shape so it has more visual connection. We now continue working into the back, pulling our sections up, and as we start to cut, you'll notice that I lift the section more and more each time. This helps to lessen the effects of the scissors. This helps to give a more gradual feel to the connection, as this is not maybe technically blending the haircut in, but it visually allows the haircut to look blended. We use this as this and razoring in combination to give a beautiful soft feel to the shape. You can start to see that the haircut is beginning to look more blended, which is great. We're going to do a little more surface cutting just to take the top layer of the cuticle, allowing the grain of the round graduation to meet the grain of the previously cut section. This means that the disconnected section will match into and blend into our disconnected panel more. We then start to razor. Using a no-mark clip will help to keep the hair steady as we do this. Surface cutting will do a very gentle scratch of the surface. This is helping to blend out any weight disconnection, making a more fluid, seamless transition of the short blending into the long. Using a mirror is vital when doing this type of haircut, as this is a very visual process. So just having a quick look, stopping and assessing by looking in the mirror is almost like a chef tasting their food whilst they're trying to cook. It's very important that you do stop, you breathe, let the haircut breathe and assess what we're doing. We work this now from the corner behind the ear. We now tease this into the rest of the back section. We want to complete this particular area before we continue with the other side. Again, I'm working quite deep internally here. I'm gently scratching the surface of the shape, enabling me to allow the haircut to look more blended and to have a more natural tapered essence. Having completed one side and been happy with how it looks, we can now start on the other side. So now we're going to take the same processes, using the mirror, using the razor, using our scissors, working vertical to connect our shape in. We're going to use all these processes to ensure we get balance and consistency in both our sides. And here we have our completed undercut, a seamless, fluid internal shape. Now we can start the top. We'll release both the top sections, ensuring we remist the sections so that we have a consistency with the moisture levels. We're then going to take a vertical profile section, just slightly off the center, as the haircut is going to be slightly off center as well. So we work just off the center parting, enabling us to look more side parted just for the moment with our profile section. If you wanted your client to have a center parting, you could work down the middle. But for the purposes of our shape, we're going to have one side predominantly tucked behind the ear. So we're working off the vertical profile, just slightly on a forward diagonal to enable us to have a more side parting. Now our vertical shape here will be square or flat. This means we're going to just cut a line that is parallel to the ceiling. This means that the length will travel further from the crown and the front of the haircut and be shorter on the apex. This will enable us to create a more softer, shattered veil, which will still maintain a corner, so it will adapt into the graduated shape easily. We pull the section up and we just work vertically square or flat. We halve the section and we pull more hair into it. Now as you pull up, watch the comb. The comb acts like a ruler. So as you come up, keep your comb in the position you're going to cut. This really helps you to visually assess the trajectory of your vertical shape. Once we've completed section 1, we take section 2 that is parallel to section 1. We're going to be over directing all of these sections straight to section 1. So this means that all our sections are being pulled directly back into the middle. This just ensures a more rapid increase in length, travelling towards the ears. Now this is because we want the veil to fall very shattered and very soft. We don't want the veil to fall too heavy. So if we went back to previous, we'd get a slower increase in length, but by going back onto a stationary guide, i.e. our section is not being pulled too far over, which will give us too much increase in length, and if we pulled it towards ourselves, it would not increase, it would go shorter, but it has to keep coming back into the middle to give us a consistent vertically triangular shape. This is giving us a lovely soft scooping motion, so the extra over direction helps to create softness and texture with how the veil falls, enabling more visual connection. As we let the veil fall, you can see we have a nice, beautiful, soft veil that adapts and fits well to the previously cut shape. We've now re-established section 1, which is going to act as our guideline for the other side, and we cut all the sections in the same way. They're all being over directed back into the middle. This would mirror the opposite side, ensuring we have a beautiful concave shape for creating softness. Once we complete, we bring the section down, let it fall to natural fall, and visually assess how it connects. Then we check the whole haircut, assessing before we blow dry to make sure we're happy with how the veil is connecting in to our undercut. Once again, we're going to begin with wrap drying to get full control over the root area, wrapping the hair backwards, wrapping it from left to right to left to stretch and bend the hair, collapsing the cuticle and giving us full control over the root area. The wrap drying is really useful for allowing us to get the hair in a state from which we can visually assess the levels of texture and what needs to be added. We also use a bristle brush just to bevel the hair and get a slight bend on the ends, helping us get a smoother finish. Now here we have our finished look. We've yet to finish our refining and texturizing, but the haircut doesn't seem to need a lot of texturizing at the moment. I'm just going to go over and do a small amount of surface cutting, just to take away the top layer of the cuticle, enabling us to look at our refining process. The way we've cut the haircut means we haven't really got to do too much texturizing. We had a really heavy undercut which allowed us to eliminate a lot of weight, and the veil that we cut was going to fall very shattered due to the nature of how we cut it. This means we didn't have to then try to take away weight which sits on the ends of the hair, which aids us in giving definition to our haircut. The haircut doesn't look like it needs to be any weight removed. We're going to apply some very subtle techniques just to help add and ensure the haircut grows out nicely for the client. We're going to start with a little bit of pointing around the length, just to remove anything excessive that may not add to the shape. So we're looking for very small amounts of hair that are not really flowing into our line. Grooming down the vertical shape and assessing the silhouette can also really help us in assessing any areas of texture that may need to be added. Then from the other side, we take a different vantage point and just remove any graduation that's sitting underneath our line, helping the line to sit more flatter against the skin and give a stronger, more precision-based feel. We're just going to utilize some channel cutting in a very subtle way, just to enable us to create more definition on the ends of this section. By slicing from a deep point, it will help us to make the ends look more collapsed and more tapered. But let's just pull the hair down in case the client doesn't want to wear it back. How will it look? You'll see as it sits, we just knead it and pull it into position, and it sits absolutely great. It has a slight face frame to it, enabling softness, enabling it to blend in better to the other side. And here we have our complete look. A soft, elegant style, utilizing a high level of visual and practical disconnection, giving an undercut feel to this graduated shape. The underneath we worked with a round graduation, but the top we worked with a square layer. They've combined to give us this beautiful, soft commercial style. Thank you so much for watching. We really hope you've enjoyed it, and we hope to see you again soon.